Okay, so it's my privilege to introduce to you an agent that sold 192 sides last year, number one agent in the state of California for Coldwell Banker, the official agent of the Padres, 100+ million producer. Please give Coldwell Banker Wes. Coldwell Banker Wes, you guys there? So how'd you guys sorry for getting off topic, but how'd you guys let Liz lose? Let's give that for Liz, come on. West, where are you? All right, please join me in welcoming Melissa Tucci to the stage.
This one goes out to you and yours. Worldwide, I say, hey, I'll be gone today, but I'll be back from around the way.
She exists. So we're back there, and Melissa's like, I'm nervous. And I'm like, I'm more nervous to ask you dumb questions than I am to sit in front of everybody. So I'll try not to ask you dumb questions. So, first one, it's easy. Tell us about yourself. How are you?
I'm born and raised in Chicago. I moved out to San Diego about 20 years ago. I always, I started having a job, at probably 8 years old. Just really always had a strong work ethic, and it's really just gotten me through where I am today. So my passion for helping people, working hard, and making a difference, in the world.
What'd you do before real estate?
I actually sold Yellow Page advertising. So if you could sell Yellow Page advertising, you could really do anything. And then I discovered real estate, and then from there, it just grew into the business that I have today.
So how many years have you been doing this?
I'm going on almost 17 years, and I got my broker's license 12 years ago.
So for all the new agents here, how fast did you get to 100,000 in GCI?
Actually, in my first year and a half, I got there.
That was a dumb question, sorry. So how fast did you get to $1 million in GCI?
I reached it about 4 years ago, and then from there, it's continued growing.
So how'd you do that? How'd you go from $100,000 a year to $1 million to $2 million?
It's obviously, continuing your referral network, past clients. I was a test pilot when Zillow first came out, and everyone hated Zillow. And I still am a firm believer of Zillow. I think that I've gotten a lot of leads from Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, and just continuing to have a strong online market presence has made a big difference for my career.
So would you say that's the majority of where you get your leads and where you market?
I would say maybe about 30%. I have a lot of past clients now, so that's probably between 30 to 40% of referrals from past clients, and then repeat business. And then I also get referrals from a lot of top-ranked agent sites that had contacted me over the years, and then they get connected with top agents in the area.
Awesome. So when you wake up in the morning, what do you do?
Scream. I'm just kidding. I'm married. I have 3 kids. I have 3 daughters, and I'm a big runner, and so that's my biggest stress reliever. I wake up early. I go running. That kind of starts my day, and I stay focused based on what I need to do. I definitely encourage people to get an assistant if they don't have one. That really helps save my time and just allow me to do more things. And I started that about 6 years ago.
Get an assistant. So we're standing over there, and she's looking at her phone just 2 minutes ago, and she says, I have to look at my phone because I asked agents to ask me for showing instructions. Someone that's selling 200 houses a year answers her phone. That's huge.
That's called psychotic, but I have a personality, and I just like, because I'm very hands-on. I'm the only one that deals with my clients, especially on my listings, so I want to be able to give them, exact feedback. And thankfully for texting and emailing, it allows us to not have to stop what we're doing and call someone to be able to do that.
So for everybody in the crowd even the new agents, what would you say to them as everyone looks up here and wants to emulate you and wants to be like you? What would you say to them?
I would say dress professionally, act professional, carry yourself in a higher standard. I've always met a lot of people that Sometimes you don't know who the client is versus the agent. They show up in shorts and flip-flops. And I know we're in Southern California, and I'm bundled in a suit in 100-degree weather, but I think it makes a difference to stay professional and just have a strong work ethic and respond to people, call people back, text people back, email, like not in 24 hours, like within an hour or less, if you can. And that's always what's made a big difference is I really try to respond to people. And they always, a lot of agents don't even respond when you try to make an appointment. So, try to set yourself apart by being proactive and being on top of things.
So, what would you say your biggest fear is? I wasn't
What's
supposed
your
to
biggest fear?
You leaving Coldwell Banker? Just saying. You asked.
I think now just, having kids and just wanting to, set the right example and do the right thing and, make all the right decisions and just, I try to just live each day as, work hard and not set these crazy expectations. But, I don't have a fear of failing because I know with my hard work that I could continue to do well. And it's up to you to make that happen.
That's awesome. So a lot of people come up here and talk about mindset and how you have to have the right mindset. And probably goes without question to assume that you have the mindset of what it takes to be successful. Tell us what that is.
I think my goal always is to try to help people sell their home, as fast as possible, work with buyers to get them into a place. I'm not monetary driven. I'm more people oriented. And I think that shows and helps get more clients when people feel like you're being genuine and you truly want to help them and you're not just looking out for yourself. And so that's my mindset is just to make a difference in people's lives by helping them and getting their goals and dreams accomplished. And then in turn, it helps me get mine accomplished as well.
Awesome, thank you. So as I'm walking through earlier, people were saying, well, how does she do it? I mean, how many people are on her team? And I tell people, well, she has 2 people that help her. And people looked at me like, no, you're lying. But she has 2 people that help her sell, and you sold 192 units last year.
Right.
Talk about that.
Like I said, I got an assistant about 6 years ago, and then about a year and a half ago, got a second person to help just because, as you know, there's a ton of paperwork, and you want to make sure all the I's are dotted, T's crossed. I think the biggest thing is electronic signatures have really changed the way we do business. I'm a firm believer of that. And when I do have clients that want to meet for every counter or every, document, of course, that makes it a lot more difficult. But the electronic signatures, the fact that people do a lot of texting, I think the internet has just made a huge change. And without that, I don't think I would have done as much business.
Thank you. Last question, or almost last question. Everyone here wants to get to the next level. I'm assuming you do too. Wrong assumption, bad question.
Sure.
Do you have aspirations to get to the next level? And if so, how do you see yourself getting there? And how could you help everybody here get to the next level?
Sure. I think, just continue to, not just be complacent and you want to continue to do more and more, maybe advertise in a different spot, advertise in magazines, advertise in newspapers, little different things that could give you more exposure of yourself and get your name out there more. And I think for me, I would potentially consider, making maybe a team, maybe. It's just hard just because I'm so hands-on and always want to be that person. But obviously, to get to the next level, you need more help.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm like, any other questions? 'Cause I was walking around and everybody's like, I want to meet Melissa. Here she is. She's real. It's right here. For everybody at Coldwell Banker West, here's Melissa Tucci.
That's funny.
So, okay. Marketing. You're obviously a queen at marketing. Talk to us about, if I didn't mention it, she's the official agent of the San Diego Padres. Can you tell us how that's affecting your business?
It's obviously an honor to be affiliated with them. That's been about 4 years, and they, of course, allow me to use their logo. I could advertise with all their affiliates like Saquon and Lexus, and I get perks, get to meet players and have my clients go to suites and different games. But I think from a marketing aspect, I'm able to advertise my listings that then go on like Padres.com and a lot of their affiliates just to get more exposure. And so I'm the only agent that's ever been the official agent of the Padres, so it's a really nice affiliation that I, hopefully will continue to keep.
Very cool. All right, last question, I promise. Tell us why Coldwell Banker West is the best. Or the Coldwell Banker brand.
No.
I'm joking.
Well, I did come from another company that I was at for many years, and I will say, besides my favorite color being blue, that Coldwell Banker does have a nice luxury presence in the marketplace and a lot of online marketing tools and a lot of tools just in general that many other companies don't have. And so when you say Coldwell Banker, there's not one person really that, is not affiliated with real estate that doesn't know who that is. And so I am, very happy that I made the alignment with Coldwell Banker.
Thank you. And from everybody at Coldwell Banker West and myself personally, we thank you for trusting us as your partner and being part of your success. So thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, Melissa Tucci.
Thank you.
So I'm here to introduce our next speaker. He's going to talk to us about why being good in today's market just isn't good enough. So please put your hands together for Lance Martin, Town and Country.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? Good. I think I've got a PowerPoint that someone's going to be queuing up, Johnny or Adam or somebody. So again, I'm Lance Martin with Coldwell Banker Town and Country. While they're queuing up the PowerPoint, I'll kind of do the obligatory thank yous. It was really nice, guys. I mean, Charlie Young coming out this morning and Craig coming out and doing a global luxury thing, and you got the Amazon folks. So it's kind of nice when we get the big corporate guys to come out and say hello. I got to tell you though, I got full disclosure here. There's a video that I'm going to share with you guys in a minute, and I was really, really worried about showing that video. But after Tisha's thing, I'm like, I apparently just anything goes, right? That was unbelievable. Oh my God, she's my new favorite agent. I cannot wait to open up escrow with Tisha. So, at any rate, it looks like they're still trying to queue up my PowerPoint. It's the one that says Lance. But I tell you what, I'm gonna need a little help for you, because there's nothing worse than speaking at one of these events, asking a question and saying, hey, who's got an open escrow? And either nobody or three people raise their hands, okay? So I need you guys to help me out with something. We're gonna split the room in half. You guys over here, whenever I ask a question that kind of implies, hey, raise your hand if you do this, you don't have to do anything. Just keep your hands down. Everybody on this side of the room, no matter what the question is, you need to raise your hand. Okay? I don't care what the question is. How was lunch good? Raise your hand. Did lunch suck? All right, so we got it. So now we're going to be able to do something here. All right, so I have been designated the CBX speaker. By the way, is my module, am I good? Am I too high, too low? We're good? Okay, I've been designated the CBX speaker for the day. For those of you that were here last year, I also had the pleasure of kind of doing CBX and CB Exchange and Zap and a few other things, so I seem to have apparently found my lane here with this particular audience. Having said that, who's going to be here tomorrow? Raise your hand if you're going to be here tomorrow. No, you guys down. Raise your hand if you're going to be here tomorrow. Excellent. Raise your hand if you're not going to be here tomorrow. All right, we got this. This is working. All right. So there is going to be, I have no idea who's going to be here tomorrow, but there is going to be a presentation tomorrow on CBX. It's going to be at least an hour. I am not going to spend my time spending the entire time on CBX. I'm going to save that for the last 4 or 5 minutes. So I'm going to try something a little bit different here. And this is the part that kind of scared me. This is one of my favorite movies. You know, who's familiar? Raise your hand if you're familiar with the movie. Raise your hand if there we go. All right. This is the Glenn Ross. This is the old Cadillacs and Steak Knives. This is one of my favorite sales movies of all time. Seriously, raise your hand if you're familiar with the movie. Okay, it's not necessarily the type of salespeople I want to be, not necessarily the type of salespeople I want working in my office, but it is kind of a cool little thing, and I want to play about a 60-second clip here. So Johnny, if you could cue up the Alec Baldwin clip, please go ahead.
Let me have your attention for a moment. Because you're talking about what? You're talking about About that sale you shot, some son of a don't want to buy land, somebody don't want what you're selling, some broad you're trying to so forth. Let's talk about something important. Are they all here?
All but one.
Well, I'm going anyway. Let's talk about something important. Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. You think I'm f***ing with you? I am not f***ing with you. I'm here from downtown. I'm here from Mitch and Murray. And I'm here on a mission of mercy. Your name's Levine? Yeah. You call yourself a salesman, you son of a bitch? I don't gotta listen to this shit. You certainly don't, pal.
All right, raise your hand if you love that video or that movie. Raise your hand if it's offensive. After Tisha's thing, that's offensive? Come on. At any rate, I love that movie for a bunch of reasons, but where I'm going to spend my time speaking today is a little bit more about who we are as a business, okay? So hopefully we've got your attention, and we're going to go ahead and get rolling. But before I start, we need to agree on a thing or two. And one of the things that we've got to agree on first is that we're in a business. This is a business. This is not a job, all right? And if you don't have a business plan, you better get one. If you've got a business plan, you need to commit to it. And if you've got a plan, work it. I mean, stick with it. But this is a business. It's kind of important. One other thing we need to agree upon is that this is a sales business, okay? I think sometimes we get a little bit lost in our day-to-day transactions as, who we are, what we're doing, how we do it. Do we knock doors? Do we make sales calls? Do we do it? Are we using Elevated Network? Not a commercial for Elevated Network, but if you don't have a contact management program, raise your hand if you do not have a contact management program. Everybody, come on. All right? Well, you know what? Get one. And there's a pretty damn good one over there in the corner. Okay, but this is a sales business. And I think we need to understand that we are in a sales business. Now, this is a quote. There are bugs in your neighborhood. Last Thursday, I'm home. Came home a little bit early from work, which was about 6 o'clock. My wife's out in the driveway with my new grandson, 1-year-old Abraham. Yes. Some of you guys might remember we introduced Abraham kind of sort of at last year's event, or at least we talked about him coming. Well, anyway, he's here. He's a year old now. So grandma's babysitting, waiting for Drew to come over and pick him up. We're all out kind of in the front yard. And what do I see coming down my driveway, or coming up my driveway, is I see a young lady, probably 25 years old, which, by the way, who lives in the Inland Empire area? Last Thursday around 6 o'clock, what was the temperature? It was hot. It was hot. It was probably 95 degrees. And at 6:30 in the late afternoon, early evening, coming up my driveway is a young lady. In her hand, which I wasn't quite sure exactly what it was until she got a little closer, but she was holding an iPad, and she was sweating. And I immediately figured I'm going to be sold something. And I got a pretty long driveway, and before she could even get 2 steps onto my driveway, I'm like, "What are you selling?" And I wasn't really nice about it. It's a little kind of rude almost. And you know what she did? She's 25 years old. And the best I can tell, she had had this job for a day. For all I know, I might have been the very first door that she actually was knocking on. Anyway, you know what she did? She kept walking up my driveway. And she ignored me until she got a little bit closer, and she said, "There are bugs in your neighborhood, and I'm here to help some of you and your neighbors." And I said, I got this. Most of you guys don't know me very well, but I've been doing this 30 years, and before I got into the real estate business, I worked at Terminix, Termite and Pest Control. What did I do for Terminix? I was a sales guy. So I had her job. I was selling pest control contracts and killing ants and bugs. So I figured, I got this. I'm 50 years old. I've been selling for 30 years. I know how to shut this down. I didn't have the luxury of Chuck's little fake phone call ring thing, which is cool. We got to get that. So I said, oh, I'm sorry, but I used to be in the pest control business, and I do my own pest control. And you know what she said? She said, I think your grandson's crawling under your truck. That's a true story. And I'm like, oh, yeah, he is. Drew, get over here and pick up Abraham. He's crawling under the truck. And then she proceeded to take a couple steps closer. Now she's in my face. And what does she have in her hand? She has her iPad. And what does she have? She has her sales presentation. And without missing a beat, she proceeds to tell me that she's the best pest control company in Riverside County, and she's going to kill my bugs, and she's helping my neighbors. Now, at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm a sales guy, right? Sales people like to be sold, right? Raise your hand if that's true. Thank you. All right, so I'm like, all right, let's play with this. And who knows, maybe I might have an opportunity to recruit her. You guys know where that's going, right? So the bottom line is, I'm like, all right, let's play. So she goes through a couple, 3 slides of her on her iPad, pretty nice presentation. And then at that point in time, I'm like, oh, guess what else she does? She's 10 seconds into it, and she literally does this. You're me. Okay, and I'm not kidding. She completely lost it. She just lost her place. She screwed up, but she said, that's okay. And at that point, I said, okay, stop. I said, let's flip the script here just a little bit. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm a salesperson. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate salespeople coming up to me because no one knocks on my door. I've lived in the same house for 20 years. There's a house for sale 4 doors down from my house. I have not had one person knock on my door. I've not had one person do a door hanger or a drop or a phone call or nothing. So I thought she might have been the first one. So I tried to flip the script on her, and I'll say, hey, you know, who has pest service? What's it cost a month? Like what, $50? $25, $50? I don't know what the hell it costs. $600 a year? $30 a month. $360 a year. It's 90 degrees. 6:30 Thursday. She's knocking, and guess what? Then she proceeds to tell me, well, how do you get paid in real estate? I said, well, it's 100% commission. She says, oh, well, I work 100% commission too. Guys, this is a sales business. This girl, I don't know what she's going to do the rest of her life. I don't know whether she's going to own this pest control company or go into real estate business or sell Amazon, dots or whatever the hell she's going to do, but she's going to make some money. So this is a sales business. All right, so this gets back to kind of the theme. I know we didn't really have a printed agenda, but when I talked to Chuck and said, hey, I want to come up and do something, I want to have a theme here that good isn't going to cut it in this real estate market. Who agrees that being good in today's real estate market, Mr. Zing does, hey, that's your cue, guys. You can raise your hand too. You know what I'm saying? You cannot be good in this you can be good. With listing inventory being what it is today, and we're focusing a lot on listings, a lot on listings, correct? But if you're representing a buyer and you write that offer and there's 37 other offers you're competing with, and you are not a good agent who writes good offers and is approaching the listing agent with good sales techniques, you think your offer is going to get accepted if you're good? Hell no. The offer that's going to get accepted is the agent who is excellent. Is fantastic. We can't just be good. Sellers, and by the way, do sellers want to list their house with good agents? No, not the sellers I know. Do they want to list with good real estate companies? No. Are there a lot of good real estate companies out there? Sure. A lot of good real estate companies. So good's not going to do it. Why do people list with you? Why are they going to list their house with you? I've boiled this down to 3 things. And by the way, I don't do as much sales. My boys and my team handle the sales and my past clients and all the rest of that. So my focus basically is recruiting agents. That's what, me and Chuck and Peter and Phil and everybody else I didn't name, that's what we're doing. But agents come to work at our company because they like the brand, they like the ownership and the management, and money. And as far as now, are there more reasons? Sure. Are they in those particular orders? Maybe not. But your sellers and buyers, to me, work with you for the exact same reasons. They like Coldwell Banker. To be honest with you, I don't think we've done enough promoting Coldwell Banker here today. All right? I love Coldwell Banker. If I didn't, I would not be affiliated with them. There are sellers and buyers out there that are working with you today because of Coldwell Banker. Right? Raise your hand. The answer is right. Now, raise your hand if you've gotten sellers who don't care whether you live with Coldwell Banker. Raise your hand. Of course. But we have a whole bunch of different type of agents in here. We have agents that have been doing this for 20 years. They have a great reputation. They're great. They're not good. They got a book of business. They got past clients. They've done business with them before, and it doesn't matter. I used to be an independent for 15 years before I was with Coldwell Banker. I didn't care. Get me in front of the client. They loved me. Didn't really matter the brand. But that's not every client. There are people that are calling you today. Tom or somebody had mentioned about Lead Router and Zap. There are people coming to you today specifically because they had a good experience with someone at Coldwell Banker 5 years ago, and they're calling you. Brand, you. That's why people are doing this. Value, and it's the money. I mean, but the takeaway for me today, and I can't believe I've never heard this. Maybe I have, and I forgot it. For me, the takeaway, what was the one thing in Craig Hogan's speech that got what was the applause line? Who remembers what it was? Somebody. This side of the room can answer too. The applause line in Craig Hogan's speech was, yeah, I was on a listing appointment in Sally Smith with Sally Smith Real Estate. They said they'd list on my property for 4.5%. And Craig said, she would know her value better than I. That gives me goosebumps. You know why? Because I'm a sales guy. And that is the single best response to that question I've ever heard. But let's suppose for a moment Craig wasn't here today. And let's suppose for a moment that wasn't your takeaway. We got a whole bunch of other stuff here that we need to create value. We have a whole bunch of other tools in our toolkit that will create value to your client. And again, I don't want to pick on my agents, but you guys are in the room, so I'll pick on you. We've got this huge trough of tools over here, and I'm going to be getting to CBX here in a minute, and we don't use them. Raise your hand if you don't use the tools that's provided by Coldwell Banker. You guys can raise your hands too. Right? Now, yeah, we use some of them. We do this, we do that. But we have all this value, but for some reason we don't convey it to our clients, or we convey a small part of it, or we're really good and we don't need it. We're going to have a listing panel coming up here in a few minutes, and one of these people, I'm sure, is going to say, I don't really have a listing presentation. I just kind of go on relationships. They like me, I like them. Next thing you know, I list the house. Does that work for all of you in this room? No. Does that work for every client? No. Does it work for some? Of course it does. There's lots of listings that I've taken in the past. I didn't have to do anything. Oh, by the way, they were not listing appointments. They were signing appointments. Lance, come sell my house. Okay? But if I'm going out on a listing appointment, I need to sell. I need to sell the value of who I am. And when I go in and I put a listing contract in front of somebody, I'm not going to automatically, which is what many of you do in this room, is, oh, by the way, I'll list your property for 5.5%. Why would we do that? They never said they wanted to list our house for 5.5%. And I call bullshit for everybody that says, every single client I go to wants to negotiate commission. Wrong. Raise your hand if that's wrong. It is wrong. Not every single client wants to negotiate commission. I bet 50% of the listings out there that are taken below market are taken below market because we offer to take them below market, and we've done nothing to create our value. Can I get an amen? Raise your hand. All right, so let's move on. I'm running out of time. Hey, Johnny, can you play this video for me? Just about 30 seconds. My second favorite movie on the planet. Here we go.
Sell me this pen.
It's a amazing pen. For professionals.
Sell me this pen.
It's a nice pen. You can use the pen to write down thoughts from your life so you can remember.
Sell me this pen.
Well, this pen works. And
All right, that's good, Johnny. Thank you.
love this pen, and I
You guys, that's the end of Wolf of Wall Street. That's an old school sales technique from years and years ago. I don't know who created it. I don't think it was the Jordan Belfort character. I'm sure someone 100 years ago did that before. I happen to have a pen. Okay? let's suppose, who wants to walk into my pen shop? I want to role play for 30 seconds with who wants to give me somebody? Raise your hand. All of you. Okay, we're all going to do it together. No one wants to play with me, so we're all going to torture each other together. You walk into my pen shop. The first thing I say is, oh, I have a Sharpie extra fine point removable cap. No. That's not what I say to you when you walk into my pen shop. Well, welcome to my pen shop. Do you currently own a pen? Somebody give me a yes. Ah. Are you in the market for another pen? Yes. Well, I happen to have a whole bunch of different pens. Tell me a little bit about the pen you currently own. Yada, yada, yada. Ah, so you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot pen. Is that pen a little too big for you or a little too small? You guys get where I'm going with this? That's not what we do. What do we do when someone comes in our open house? Come on in. This is the living room. Isn't it a beautiful pen? It's black. This is the restroom. Come on, guys. This is a sales business. It's not that hard. I've had 24 people come up to me today and say, Lance, are you nervous to do your presentation? Am I nervous to do this presentation? Why? Well, a couple reasons. I practiced this presentation. I know what the next slide is. I know what to say. I'm ready for the objections. So if that's you on a listing presentation, the reason you're nervous to go on your listing presentation, or the reason you're nervous to come up here and speak in front of, how many people we have now? I think we're up to 912. If you're nervous, it's because you haven't done it before. You haven't practiced your presentation. And if it's your first time, yeah, you're going to be nervous. But if it's your 7th, 8th, 9th time, is it easy? Who's the top listing agent in here? Raise your hand if you're the top listing agent in here. Are those listing appointments easy? Yes, they are, because I've done a lot of them, and I know my value. So we got to sell a little bit. All right, so let's talk a little bit of CBX. Yes, we're here to talk about CBX, and the rest of this is going to go fast because I know we're short on time, and I have no idea how long I've been talking. So Chuck's probably having his head's going to explode back there. I've gone too long. Okay, I'm not going to play this commercial for time, and the reason I'm not going to play this commercial is because Charlie Young played this commercial earlier today. Have you guys seen the television commercial? And the tagline, awesome. Who said awesome? Raise your hand if you said awesome. Come on, guys, you got to play. All right, I'm going to stand up here all day. The reason it's awesome is because, number one, it is awesome. The television commercials we have right now at Coldwell Banker are the best I've seen in the 15 years I've been associated with the brand. They are bitchin', all right? What does it say at the end of that TV commercial? Someone over here, you guys go to sleep. It says, ask your Coldwell Banker agent about CBX. Did you guys know that? There's also 16 other commercials. One of them says, ask your Coldwell Banker agent about smart homes. Another one says, ask your Coldwell Banker agent about Zap. Who hates Zap? Raise your hand. I don't care. Because the consumer says, would you tell me about Zap? Raise your hand if you love doing digital signatures. Raise your hand if you hate doing digital signatures. Raise your hand if you've never done a digital signature. Is that a problem? It's a problem the day a client comes to you and says, would you send those contracts to me digitally, please? And you say, I don't do that. Right? Give me a break. Anyway, the Coldwell Banker commercial is ridiculous. It's really, really good. He also played the drop commercial. The drop commercial is as good. Where do you see those drop commercials? Who has seen the Coldwell Banker sponsored ad on Facebook with this commercial? Raise your hand. Right? I was somewhere a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember who it was. You're probably in this room. And we talked about the television commercials. And there was a little bit, I wish there was more television commercials. And I know they're only going to be on for a little bit longer. And then they're going to drop off and I'm not going to see them. Which is true. Who cares? Because all those commercials need to be in your database. They need to be on your YouTube channel. They need to be on your email blast. You need to be sending those out. But you know what else? Someone else stood up and said, I see them all that. I don't watch TV. Who doesn't watch TV in here? Keep your hand raised if you get your television through YouTube or the internet in one form or another. Guess where this television commercial is playing? Not on TV. It's playing on the internet. This is no lie. I was pulling up the YouTube slides to prepare for this presentation the other day, and as I'm searching Glengarry Glen Ross and Alec Baldwin and blah, 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 what are these ads that are popping up? No lie, 6 different Coldwell Banker drop ads popped up. This is a great program. Now, I'm gonna run through the rest of this really quick. These are the listing presentation tools that we currently have available. They've been available at Coldwell Banker, previously on Coldwell Banker Works, now on CB Exchange. They rock. Who uses these listing presentations? This is the PowerPoint one. Raise your hand. If you don't, you need to raise your hand and go home and download the damn things. It'll take you 15 minutes at the most to modify them. This is the cool part. Now you can modify those within CBX. Who's done it? Raise your hand if you have not done it. Okay, you're going to download it. All these slides are on the thing. We're number 1. Use it. Show value. This is why I'm not going to list your property for 5.5%, because I got a lot of marketing. I got a lot of stuff going on. These are numbers from the Global Luxury. I use Global Luxury. Craig talked about this earlier today. Global Luxury rocks. $135.5 million a day in luxury sales. I sell Inland Empire. Most of my stuff's $300,000, maybe a little less, a little bit more. Does that work on a $300,000 property in San Bernardino? Who said no? Shut up. Of course it works. I'm sorry. Oh my God, that's you. Of course it works. If I have a $300,000 property and you're trying to create value and you tell me your company's selling $135 million in luxury real estate a day, you think you can sell my $300,000 house in San Bernardino, right? You can build this right into your presentation. I'm almost done. Log in. Okay, this is the challenge. For those of you that have used CBX before, there's a whole bunch of data. I'm not going to go through it. You guys can go through it tomorrow. What I want you to do today is I want you to get excited about going and getting this app. It's also on the Droid. So, oh, wait, it's not on the Droid. It's only on the iPad. That was the case. Not anymore. Anyway, there's 25 slides in here. I am not going to go through them. All I can tell you is this thing rocks. And if you use it, it will create value in your presentation. Okay? And frankly, if you've already got a great presentation, this will still create value in your presentation. Use the thing anyway. How long does it take? Give me a real answer. How long does it take to create a presentation in CBX? 5 minutes. I think that's too long. But 3 minutes. Let's give it 5. It's rocks, and you can email it right from there. I'm gonna close with the following. Miguel Sanchez, are you in the office or in the building? Miguel's one of my agents. Is there anybody in here named Miguel? Raise your hand. All right. I'm out with Miguel about 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to teach this guy to prospect. We're knocking on doors. We knock on a door. Somebody opens it up. 10 minutes later, what are we doing in the kitchen? No lie. Right, Miguel? Raise your hand if I'm telling the truth. That's right. No lie, we're doing a CBX presentation in the kitchen of this house. The first door we knocked on. All right? So anyway, I think I've gone way long. There's a whole bunch of other stuff in here. One other thing I'm going to close with is this. If you work in my office, you've heard me say this a lot. I have 2 rules to work in my office, and I think everybody should apply this to your entire life and your business plan. Rule number 1 is conduct yourself professionally. Sounds easy, right? Answer your phone. Number 2, treat your clients well. That's the secret. You want to know, if I was on a panel, someone me asked, what's the secret to my business? That's it. And contact management. I'm going to add one more to that. Try CBX. Give it a try. Okay, I'm done. Thank you very much. You guys have a good day. Thanks for coming.
I am going to rapid fire through listing generation tools. So I'm going to tell you guys kind of some ideas on how to get out and meet people and actually get the listing appointment. These guys are going to tell you what to do once you arrive at the listing appointment, okay? So here we go. Creating listing leads. I'm going to rifle through it. First off, did you guys know in last year in resales, there were 5.5 million sales in resales in the country? That means 4,850,000 homes were sold by realtors last year, almost 5 million. That's a pretty significant number, pretty significant. Now, sellers who would use the same agent that sold them their house. This was an NAR quick little quiz, and 70% said that they would use the same agent that sold them the house to list their house. And then boom, sellers that use the same agent, any guesses? 25% of sellers use the same agent that sold them the house. That means that obviously the buyer's agent dropped the ball, whatever, that happens. All right, so here we go. Guess what you get back when you get listings? Does anybody know, what do you get back when you get listings? Somebody said your life, I'll agree with that one. You get your weekends back, okay, because you have an asset. You can go on vacation and somebody's going to sell it. Friday all of a sudden means something again. Like right now, Friday's Monday, right? Everybody's like, yeah, it's Friday. We're like, what? That doesn't mean anything. So here we go. Lead sources. A couple things to think about. Number one, the one that I really like is marketing relationships. This is just something I want you guys to think about. So listings, hair salons. If you talk to Robin Zing over there, she's told me that she's probably had it from 9 to 15 sales from her hair lady. 9 to 15. So think about a marketing relationship where you're advertising together, where you're putting stuff on their website, where you're sending out pieces together. Wedding planners, if you know wedding planners, that's a great one. Divorce attorneys. Hey, somebody's got to sell something. Okay, somebody's got to sell something. Usually a divorce, that happens. The women didn't laugh. That's funny. All right, that's okay. Carpet cleaners. They know when somebody's getting ready to sell a house. Moving companies, they generally are told like a month in advance when somebody's going to be moving out. A lot of people like to move out first. Financial advisors. Credit repair. Credit repair agencies are a great place to look. Like what if you just called one up and started bringing in donuts or whatever to a credit repair agency? It's not a bad idea. So not only advertise together, but visit these guys. Bring them donuts, do things like that. You know, past agents. What about all the retired agents that are in your company? They're always going to talk real estate for the rest of their life. Are you reaching out to those people that may be retired? I mean, they can't help but talk about it. They did it their whole life. Rapid fire leads. I'm just going to give you a bunch now. Here we go. Ask your family and friends. What a novel concept. So if you know family and friends, how many of you guys are afraid to ask your mom? Hey, Mom, do you know anybody? Oh, as a matter of fact, I do. Well, why didn't you tell me? Because you didn't ask. All right, so keep that in mind. Relocation headhunters, not that kind. I'm talking about the people that are bringing in talent to an area. If there's a relocation company, if you're in Long Beach or downtown in a big city where there's relo companies, go bring them donuts. Build a relationship. Garage sales, estate sales, stuff you already know. Assisted living managers and staff, a lot of times those guys know people that are potentially going to be moving in there and need to sell their house. What if you brought them donuts or did something like that once in a while? I'm not saying to do all these things, just choose the things you like. Lien changes. You can talk to your title rep. If somebody has a mechanics lien put on there, an NOD filed, a tax lien, an HOA lien, maybe they're having a rough time and they're going to need to sell their house. Just ask your rep. You know, if anything's popping up, just let me know. What else we got? Mobile home park managers. Mobile home park managers are a great place. They know everything that's happening in their community. If you're doing manufactured houses in a community, why not talk to those managers, work something out where you can bring them in donuts or do whatever once in a while too. Hobbies, competitive beer drinking. Whatever you have to do that you're into a hobby, whether it's golf, whether it's you're in a poker club, join stuff, use your hobbies, leverage that, let people know what you do. Show up running late in your Coldwell Banker Polo. Do whatever you got to do, but your hobbies. What else we got? Seller lead websites. These are some of my favorite because these pay off very well. Elevated Network is over here on the side, and they basically do these for free. You know when you go onto Facebook and you click on it, it says, how much is my house worth? You would be shocked how many people actually fill that out. I mean, it's amazing how many people fill that out. What if you just did this to your friends? What if you didn't pay anything at all, and you just put on Facebook as one of your ads, hey guys, you want to know what your house is worth? All of a sudden, you find out that your group of friends, one of them wants to sell and they want to know what their house is worth. So are you guys ever putting something like this up on your site? Because it's very easy. I mean, Elevated Network, it's free. A lot of these companies, to do this kind of stuff, it's free. So keep that in mind. Seller lead websites. Fireman's breakfasts. Hey, if you're single, it's not a bad idea to reach out to your fireman, right? Reach out to local firemen and bring in breakfast. Hey guys, I really appreciate all the public service you do. You guys are so great. I wanted to bring you in breakfast. And by the way, I'm single. Any of you guys single? Whatever. The only reason I say that is because the firemen come into my offices, or they'll come into the office to check the little smoke detectors and to check the little, whatever. And all the women are running up front in the bathroom and doing their hair. And hi guys, come on out. I'm just like, I get it. We're firemen too. Realtors are firemen too. We deal with it all day. My wife doesn't go for that, but whatever. Anyways. All right, be the team mom. I know it's a pain in the ass, but let me tell you, being the team mom, you're going to get everybody's number. You're going to be the contact person for everybody. You're going to be out front. Hey, you know what? The uniforms are in. Why don't you come into my office and pick them up? If you want to wait, or I can give them to you on game day, but just swing by. All of a sudden, they come to your Coldwell Banker office. They know what you do. So be the team mom. Be the person that communicates. Be the person that's out front. Obituaries. How many people chase after obituaries? One person in the back. Hey, somebody's got to sell it, all right? Somebody's got to sell it. It's not going to be me, but somebody's got to do it. All right, so here we go. Social media glasses. Here's what I mean. When you go and you look at Facebook, and when you look at LinkedIn, and I know Associated Brokers is tired of hearing this, but do you actually look at Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram with your real estate glasses on? Have you guys ever thought about putting on those real estate glasses and looking at Facebook, seeing who's moving, who just got promoted, who just had another baby. Those are all signs that we should be looking at. So I used to, like I say, I used to see people on Facebook and I'd be like, loser. You know what I mean? And now I look at them like, oh, good, they're working. You know, so social media glasses when you're looking at it. Also, Plenty of Fish and Tinder. If you guys go on there and see married people on there, there's probably a listing coming. Okay, so here we go. Online sources and social media. Let's just rattle through. Did you guys know that 65% of searches are done on Google, but what people don't realize is that 33% are Bing? So if you don't have a great profile on Bing, if you're not kind of optimizing Bing, you're losing out, right, on 35 of 100 people, 33 of 100 people. So consider Bing. Realtor.com, you guys know people are still dredging up sources there. Make sure you have a complete profile. Homes.com. See, almost done, guys. Zillow, of course. You know, I don't know where Zillow's headed. Anybody else scared? I know I am. Whatever, we'll see what happens with them. Google, of course, you want to have a full profile on there. If I Google you, what am I going to find? A lot. Hey, a lot of you guys, when I was looking people up, I couldn't even find you guys at all. How many people are not even getting a listing appointment because you have no presence online anywhere? My favorite is when I go onto Facebook to try to find somebody and they don't have their phone number on Facebook. I'll tell you what, 90% of the room probably doesn't have their phone number on Facebook. And I guarantee you people are looking for you there. So think about changing that. Yelp is growing fast, My boys, they live on it. Okay? They're checking everything. They're reviewing everything. It's the future. Expireds and withdrawals. Oop, that was fast. Hey, what about handing out a pen instead of a card? How many people are going to keep the pen that's in front of them right now? How many people are going to keep the card from the person you just met across the hallway just now when I said meet somebody? None of you, okay? So they'll keep a pen. I'm just kidding. I'm sure you will. All right, sure. Collect cards. A lot of people say, Chuck, I handed out 10 cards today. And I said, well, how many did you collect? Well, none. I'm like, well, you want to collect cards, right? Not hand out cards. Isn't that the goal? So if you collect 10 a day, that's kind of good, right? Add them in your database? No? All right. We know how to get leads, right? But what do we do when we walk through the door? That's the next question. So you got the lead, you're walking out to the listing appointment. A good listing agent is ready to roll in about 20 minutes. Their package is done, like Lance said. They're dialed in, they're out the door, as opposed to the agent that's calling, Chuck, I need a listing book. I'm going to call marketing. Well, it's 4:55. You know, you don't have a listing book. So be prepared. And these guys right here, this crew over here is going to tell us exactly what their secrets are to doing a good listing appointment. As a matter of fact, I'm going to move these chairs back when they come up. But here's Powerhouse Listing Presentations. Our first, I'm going to have the entire group come up, if you guys can right now. Here's the $1 million panel. Oop, that's the wrong one. Don't look at that. All right, here's our first presenter. You guys can all come up, please. Chris Leeper's first. Come on up, Chris Leeper. Right behind Chris Leeper, I'm going to have Jennifer Murphy come on up. You're going to be down here too. I'm going to have a seat for now. I'll grab you in a second, okay? All right, right behind Jennifer Murphy, we're going to have, oops, right behind you. Let me go back to it. Sorry, guys. Don't pay attention to this. I got totally distracted when I saw Chris Leeper's picture. All right. Don't ask. Hang on. I'm there. All right, next up, we're going to have Mike and Robin Zane. Come on down. Next up, Ruben Hernandez. Come on down. And last but not least, David and Sandy Stites. Come on down. All right, so you guys ready? This is what you get. Leeper did 370,000. Jennifer did 300,000. The Zing's last 12 months, 830,000. Ruben Hernandez, $1 million in the last 12 months. The Stites, 930,000 in the last month. All units, okay, all units. And they're here to share, and we're going to start out down at the end, 10 minutes with Mr. Leeper. Oh, where's the microphone? Wait, I do need a microphone. I think Lance took it. Everybody took them. Oh, there's 3 of them down there. Can I have all those? Way to go, Lance. Thank you.
Hey guys, love killing that while you're doing. Go over and see Elevated Network if you want to help your business, especially if you're new, if you're not connected, you're not in it right away. The sooner the better.
Hello.
I'm back. Here we go. Chris Leeper, guys.
All right, full disclosure, we're all good at listing presentations here. I don't think any of us are public speakers, so please bear with us if we start falling on our face or anything. I want to go off topic just a little bit. I think this whole presentation is about, not just this panel, but this whole seminar has been about getting listings, and I kind of want to challenge that. I know that's the ultimate goal, but we need to be able to provide value to our clients, and that will in turn get you listings. So I think if everybody's focused on asking, hey, do you have any interest in selling your house? you're kind of going straight for the order. Why don't you try providing value to your clients before you actually ask them for the listing? Earn the right to ask them for the listing. So with that, I'll get into it a little bit more. I'm not going to focus on my listing presentation as much. I'm actually going to focus on my pre-listing presentation. I've been on 26 listing appointments this year. I've taken 22 listings. So just to give you an idea of my results and what's going on, I don't think that I'm doing anything that's all that special, anything different than what anybody else in this room is doing. I think that I am building rapport with these clients a little bit better than maybe some of people in this room, asking some of the pre-qualifying questions. I'm not going to go out on a listing appointment if these people are trying to list their house for $1 million when I know damn well it's only going to sell for $700. So stop wasting your time. I would say asking pre-qualifying questions is going to help you guys out tremendously. To get into, and I'm going to pull my notes out a little bit here, some of the pre-qualifying questions. How quickly are you looking at making a move on something like this? So a simple question like that is going to answer 2 questions for me. Number one, their timeline. Are they not ready to list for a year down the road, 8 months down the road? That's probably not a listing appointment that I'm going to go on right away. So the simple pre-qualifying question, how quickly are you looking at making a move on something like this? And then shut up. Let them talk. Let them tell their entire story. Oh, well, it's a job transfer, and then I got to get to Michigan in the next 6 months. Okay, well, that kind of gives me a better idea of how quickly, again, they're going to be looking at making a move. And again, with a simple open-ended question like that, it allows them the opportunity to just tell their entire story. So again, this is pre-listing presentation. If you ask the right questions, and they're going to tell you their entire story, now you can kind of cater the listing presentation to exactly what they're talking about. So that would be one thing that I would recommend. Obviously, right now, these sellers are very savvy. And we talked a lot about Zillow in this conference. All these sellers are looking up. They know exactly how much their house is. Well, they have a pretty good idea of how much their house is. They have this estimate, right? So they know everything because Zillow tells them everything. Asking them that question. So it sounds like you already done some research on this property. You know, how much do you think your home is worth? The reason why I asked that question is I want to figure out how big is the disconnect. If they think it's $100,000 more than what it's actually going to sell for, obviously I know I have my work cut out for me. If they're a little bit more reasonable, then I don't think pricing of the home is going to be much of a hurdle. So those would be a couple of, again, focusing more on the pre-listing presentation, asking pre-qualifying questions. To go into a little bit of what we provide in the pre-listing package that we actually send out, and this is before I even have a conversation with, well, I have the initial conversation that they're interested in selling. We'll put together a pre-listing package, which is basically a CMA, some sample marketing materials, some proof pieces, all of the Zillow reviews and things like that. We send that out beforehand. I try to kill them with all this information, 100, 150 pages at times. So that way when I show up to the listing presentation, they already have a list of questions for me. When I get there, I'm not there to put on a listing presentation. I'm there to have them sign the contract. So it's a little bit different than I think what most people in this room think that they need to have this iPad or a 100-point listing presentation. I mean, I think that that's great tools, but if you can't have a basic conversation with these people up front, if you can't build rapport and have again, listen to your clients, figure out what their wants, needs, and expectations, and then cater your presentation to that. They don't care about this 100-point presentation if you can't have a simple conversation with them. So I guess the conclusion here is build rapport. Ask your clients questions and shut up. Let them talk. Let them tell you your entire story. And it actually makes the listing presentation pretty easy at that point.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Okay, next up we have Jennifer Murphy, and Jennifer was kind enough to actually put up her entire listing presentation that she's going to walk through that you guys can all see. So, Jennifer, it's all you. Feel free to stand up and go for it, too. It's right in front of you.
Okay. Sorry, forgot about the microphone. So this is a sample of my listing presentation, and after 17 years in the business and constantly going out on hundreds of listing presentations, I put together a book that basically is filled with the information that I have felt the most questions from my sellers were to me. And this book is usually mailed out or dropped off at their house prior to me getting there. Similar to like what Chris was saying, when I show up to the house, I'm there to answer the questions that they've already looked at the information about me or the information that, you know, I'm going to provide on their home. So, excuse me, this is my first time, so give me a minute. So, okay, so first off, the first page of the listing presentation, I go in there, I talk about Coldwell Banker, Associated Brokers, you know, the worldwide presence that Coldwell Banker has, the communities that I serve. I'm throughout the Inland Empire. You know, I talk about Coldwell Banker's worldwide presence, the sales volume, you know, because Coldwell Banker is the brand, the oldest and the most established franchise in North America. So I'm already selling them on the brand itself before I'm selling them about myself personally. And then, of course, we all know how big online presence is. So then this is where they find out, you know, YouTube channel, Zillow, my elevated network, virtual tours, everything that they are going to get for online marketing with me. And then I walk them through the listing process because we forget that we do this every single day. They're doing it once every 3 years, once every 5 years, and you know, maybe they forget how this is going. So I just tell them, you know, we sign the listing agreement, we do our decluttering, our cleaning, our staging, our, you know, open house, we go to negotiations, etc. Then they get to see when they list with me, here's some of the stuff that you can expect. Whether it's a home staging consultation, professional photography, aerial photography, direct mail advertising, it just basically kind of gives them everything that they are going to expect or can expect. And that just depends on each listing. So this is the next part that I spend the most amount of time on. So this is home preparation and staging your home, because I think this is one of the hugest parts about listing a home is getting it ready. So first they need to clean it, they need to organize it, they need to declutter, deep clean, disassociate, they need to take down their personal photos, you know, and then prior to the first showings, we go through the staging process. You know, put your toilet seats down, turn on the lights, open the windows, open the blinds, all of that type of stuff. All that stuff that you're taught when you're first there. And then I give them a breakdown of the buyer and seller costs. Responsibility of the seller, basically real estate commission, their half of the escrow, and then responsibility of the buyer. You know, buyer is basically paying the cost of obtaining their loan. And then I go into having them remember the cost of movings and, you know, kind of the stuff that they'll need for moving day, personal property versus real property, cover that in the beginning with attached fixtures, you know, window coverings if they have special ones that match their comforter that they want to take with them. And then we go into the part about home pricing, you know, few key points. Are we going to price it high to leave room for negotiation? We're not in a big hurry to sell, you know, tackle that pricing hurdle ahead of time and let them know the downfalls of why, you know, they shouldn't be overpricing their listing. And then this page, you can barely read it, and that's intentional. So this is the role of a realtor. This is the 1 million plus things that we do as a realtor. And this is where I want them to see the value of why we're getting 6%, 7% commissions. These are all the things they don't want to handle, from the very beginning of the pre-listing activities to negotiating the contract. And this is just a breakdown of every single tedious thing that is involved. And again, that's intentional. And then I'm not a stats girl, but I have learned that it is actually hugely important for us to let them know our production, how many, you know, transactions you've done, et cetera. And then your raving fans, your references, again, with your Zillow reviews and everything else. So it's really important. So keep track of those reviews and those raving fans.
Awesome. Is that it? Is there more? I think there might be more, right? No? Cool. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do want to point out that, I don't know about you guys, but like this right here for references, doesn't that just kick ass? I mean, that's like my favorite page in the whole book. I think that's really cool. It's got their names, what they had to say, all that stuff. So thank you, Jennifer. Next up, we have Mike and Robin Zing. And Mike and Robin Zing, oh wait, is it back? No. Thanks, Jennifer Murphy. The thing about Mike and Robin Zing, honest and truly, is I can almost guarantee you of everyone in this room, and I could be wrong, but of everyone in this room, nobody gets more 6% commissions than those guys. I mean, what percentage would you say you guys get, Mike? How many 6%? What do you guys think?
I would say 95% or more.
95% of their listings are 6%. And they closed like 58 transactions last year, and 95 they got 6%. So that's pretty legit. So Mike and Robin Zing, welcome guys. They are at 883,000 in the last 12 months, which is pretty legit. Here we go, Mike. Robin, first question. I have another broker that will take the listings for 4.5%.
Go first. What was the answer earlier this evening? She knows what she's worth. Hey, first of all, it starts off, you got to believe that you're worth what you're asking for. And if you don't believe you are, either get with somebody else that'll help you believe it, or don't ask for it because it's hard to sell. We went on an appointment last night. We were actually in Beverly Hills, headed for San Diego, get a call, got a read on it. The guy says, I want to talk to you about listing my house. And Robin and I both said, you know, we can meet you on Thursday. Our read was that Thursday we weren't going to get the listing. So we converted our car back down to Canyon Lake. We met with him around 8 o'clock last night. There were 3 or 4 other agents in competition. And the bad part about that deal is you're not competing with 30 other lousy agents. They've picked the top group, and so you're competing with them. So we went in, and today we got a call. We did get the listing. Thank you very much. And it was 6%. I have to tell you, in the old days when I got in the business, we got paid a lot less. A typical commission was $2,500 to $3,000, and 6%. So I had a hard time any time a commission went over $10,000 because I just felt bad. Sometimes it was more money than the people were getting. Now I have a hard time when it's under $10,000. I want you all to feel the same. So if you want to raise, trust me on this. I'm going to give it to Robin in a second because she's the only reason I got invited up here. Thank you, Chuck.
He's on to me.
If you want to raise, get your fair share. Make that number 6. I've closed a couple at 7. I closed one at 9. When the opportunity arises, you can do that. Thank you. But I did realize the people that I closed at 7 probably weren't knowledgeable enough to compete with me in negotiation. I felt guilty about that. I don't do that anymore. If you get 7, God bless you. I know the Hanson McCoy team do. Oh, one more thing, and I promise I'll give it to you, Rob. If you notice, I dressed for the occasion, and I dressed for the appointment. And was it Lance said earlier, or was it somebody else said, you should dress for the occasion? Well, here's the problem. Number 1 team in the company now is the Hanson McCoy team over here. And if you look, they dressed appropriate for the people that they deal with. I applaud you guys. Robin, you're up.
Hey, Robin, can I ask Mike one question before he hands you the mic? I have another broker that will take the listing for 4.5%.
Okay, so what we very quickly do is we try to prove to them why they shouldn't do that. And I tell people, I use this in almost every situation like this. It's really not about what you pay that matters. It's about what you net that should matter. And I actually have asked a few, do you understand that? Because they look glazed over and you can't really tell. But it is the truth. And if you put it, Robin's going to hit, I'm still in her stuff, in the MLS, and you put in there 2.5%, Robin, your turn. Finish. We do this all the time.
Well, the biggest thing that we find is that sometimes, and a lot of times, the seller definitely wants to talk about commission. I think it was mentioned earlier by Chris or something that not always, and that is true, but most of the time you need to know what you're going to say for the objection of the guy before you said they'll do 5% or 4.5% like Chuck just said. Have your toolbox ready, guys. Practice the answer to that question. And Mike says, you know, you just have to be ready for it. Also, I think Chris said earlier about one of the most important things is know who you're talking to. Make sure before you answer that question, you know what they want, where they're going, what their motivation is, or find something in common. We had one time, we were the buyer's representative, and back then you actually sat at the table and you went over your offer with the seller.
We're really old.
Yeah. And this guy was a bear, and he looked like a bear. He's kind of big guy, but I really thought he was a turd, actually. And he was just not a nice guy. So I thought, we've got to figure this out because our offer wasn't very good. It wasn't a real high offer. So I excused myself and I kind of looked through his house. I used the restroom. I saw a magazine and it was all about flying. And my Mike is a pilot. So I get back to the table And the guy's still so disrespectful, he didn't like agents. And I said to Mike, Mike, ask Bill about being a pilot. And Mike said, oh, are you a pilot? And unbelievable, the transformation that this bear went through, because now we had something in common. He now respected one person at the table, which was Mike, which was a pilot. And next thing we know, we got the offer through. Their agent actually called Mike a few weeks later and said, take this over. I don't even want to deal with this guy. And we've sold him several homes since. So really, really coming down to make sure they know who you are and you know what they're looking for and that you can relate to them and be good to them. And again, they keep saying that you need to know what that person or care what they want. That's the big thing.
People do business with people that they know, love, and trust. It sounds so obvious, but get to know your clients, and that's a perfect example. Try to connect with them on a different level. If when you're walking through previewing the house, look at the pictures on the wall. They got a bunch of dogs hanging up. Oh, wow, I have 2 dogs too. I really love them. And just get them to open up about something else. You're just breaking down that wall that makes it a heck of a lot easier to ask for the 6 or 7% when you finally sat across the table from them. So it's perfect.
Kind of important, protect the buyer's side commission also. There are people who will say, I'll get mine, let them get theirs. Don't do that. It hurts you, it hurts your seller. Robin ran the stats the other day. In Canyon Lake, there were
like 119 listings and 7 were at 2%. At 6%, there were only 11. All the rest were at 2.5%. Guys, we can do better than that. You need to be a salesperson, just like they're saying all day. They'll either sell you on why you're not worth it, or you're going to sell them on why you are worth it. And you have to work at it, otherwise they're going to win. And
so when we go on
win.
oh, sorry, I cut her off all the time. Thank you, great job. When we go on an appointment, we really do have a list of, out of our arsenal of answers for their questions. We can cover most any question, and I think it's important you don't only know the answer, you know the question before they ask it. Right there on the board is the 3%, 2.5%, and we tell the people, we don't have much trouble getting 6% anymore. We show them this stuff and they go, hey, we can understand what you're saying. Lastly, the other agents, we've had some agents call us lately, Truth, and most of what I say is a lie, but this is truth, that they said thank you for the 3%.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you.
Check.
I guess there's a couple people flipping out in the back. I didn't know this. I guess we're not allowed to talk about commissions and objections.
Yes, we can in a room of our own people.
I know if I offended somebody, though, I apologize. But these guys nail it. So we didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings or break any rules, but we appreciate it. And next up, this is, thank you, Zings. This is, our next presenter is Ruben. And Ruben's done over $1 million in the last year and is cranking out of Riverside, Coldwell Banker, Blackstone. Ruben.
Hoorah, hoorah, hoorah. So first off, I want to say hoorah to all my devil dogs out there and all the veterans that serve this country. Shout out to my partners, Vance and Kelly and the Blackstone team. Let's go, come on. I was honored to have served several years in the Marine Corps. I spent some time in what we call the sandbox. And so I share everything. I take more of a team approach. All these things work. These are superstars. I take more of a collaborative approach. I looked at what makes all branches of the military very successful, and I just emulated that in my real estate operation. So collaboration, teamwork, mission accomplishment, esprit de corps, motivation, et cetera. So that's what I look for. I focus on the mindset. I think everybody, for the most part, maybe I shouldn't. How many of you here have a formal listing presentation that you use all the time for all of your listing presentations? Okay. So if you do, kudos. If you don't, then you got to have it, obviously, that outlines it. Because the tools are very, very important. So I'm going to outline a few of the tools that we use, and then I'm going to talk what I consider to be most critical, and that's how you attack that presentation. And so as a Marine, I'm going to use a lot of military metaphors, a lot of vernacular. What I say absolutely applies to all of you. So I will literally tell the seller, I will accomplish this mission if you afford me the opportunity to work for you. I will win this. I will accomplish this mission. I will help you achieve those goals and objectives. I will be as collaborative as possible, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to go through a little bit of that. But before I do, I would be remiss if I did not ask anybody that has worn the uniform, if you've served this country at any time in the past or present, or if you have a son, daughter, family member, if you could please stand and let us recognize every one of you. I'd really appreciate that. This is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen, about teamwork, collaboration, sacrifice, and dedication. All right, and that is what makes all branches of the military successful, and that is what's going to make, that is what's making all of you successful as well. Tradition, we talked about brand and things of that sort. So let me see if I can figure that out. If it was an M16, I'd be awesome at this. Okay, so for many years, I consider myself, honestly, an average listing agent. Probably 35, maybe 40% of my business was listings. It really was. It was more survival mode, kind of like wanting to feed the family, et cetera, et cetera. And then I was in a meeting, and my mentor, as I was growing the firm, I had asked him a question. And he looked at me and he said, that's a dumb question. And yeah, naturally I wanted to wring his neck when he said that, but I didn't. I looked and I said, well, why do you say? He says, well, what would the Marine Corps do? And that was just one of those moments where the light bulb goes off, and I said, wow, that's a great question. What would the Marine Corps do? So what I did on everything thereafter is I mirrored what we did in the Marine Corps. Collaboration, teamwork, mission accomplishment, motivation, adapt, improvise, overcome. Now, those are all terms that we use daily in the military, in all branches of the military, but those are all terms that we do every day as realtors. We always have to improvise. We always have to adapt. We always have to overcome. Is there ever a situation where we think things are going to go smoothly and then they turn around and are like, oh man, I did not see that coming, right? Does that happen to any of you? It does, right? It happens to all of us. So, how do I do this? What do I point at here?
Flip it upside down. There you go.
Sorry, guys.
You're good.
So I considered myself average until I took the time to correlate all of the fundamental values that I learned in the military, right? Until I intentionally started to correlate all that. It wasn't until then that my business took off. And then it got to a point where I'm like, hey, everybody eats in my firm. Everybody eats. Let's share everything. Let's be so collaborative, right? In the military, we say military occupational specialty. We don't say military occupational, do whatever you want. So we started focusing on specialization techniques. Those are all things that apply to all of us. Okay, so I want to share that with you because there was a direct correlation between this mindset change and wanting to attack every listing. I have lost listing appointments. I've never lost listing appointments because I was not prepared, ever, right? I would recon areas. I would make sure that I would know what planning was going on in certain areas that would add value to my seller's home. I would get intel, again, military vernacular that applies to all of you. I'd get intel, look on Facebook, right? Or do some research. For all I know, that seller that I was getting ready to meet was the director of marketing for some major pharmaceutical firm. So do you think I'd need to incorporate my marketing value in my listing presentation to somebody that leads a marketing team? Absolutely. So that intel was super, super valuable, okay? So I literally would recon, here, actually I have it here. I literally would recon everything. I literally would take the time to prepare. I would incorporate my teammates, right? I would use things like Semper Fidelis in my listing presentation. They didn't have to be veterans to understand what it takes to be faithful. I will be loyal to you as my seller. I will exceed your expectations. I will make sure that you get that price, and I will minimize your days on market. We did all of that. And even though, I sell to a lot of veterans, but even though they weren't in the military, they were like, you know what? I like that. I like that motivation. I like that. I like that energy. I like that passion. Somebody here said something about relating to the seller, right? Even if that seller happened to be in the Navy and I'm a Marine, I would say, go Navy, right? Right? For a Marine, that's unheard of. I would say, go Navy, man. I appreciate your service to country, right? And he would laugh. Yeah, I know what you're really trying to say. But you have to adapt. You have to. So URA, I mentioned URA. That's confidence is key. Confidence is key. The one thing that I do, and I encourage all of you, is to take that one word or your why, your passion, your purpose, whether it's your kids or something, take that into that listing presentation with you. Let it motivate you and let it make sure that you don't lose that listing presentation. You come out with a signed contract. That is exactly what we do. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity right now. On the count of 3, I want you to say "Oorah" as loud as you can. All right? 1, 2, 3.
Hoorah!
You guys are good, all right? 1, 2, 3. Hoorah! Doesn't that feel good? That's the Marine Corps cry, by the way. That's our battle cry. But that is what sellers want. They want that energy. They want that motivation. They want to know that the person they're paying 6 or 7% to is the person that they know is worth their value. And that's what I'm hearing across all of these professionals. Mindset, I talked about that. Preparation and credibility is key. Champions expect to win. So for those of you that played sport, just raise your hand if you played any sport growing up, right? A lot of us. Just raise your hand if you're competitive in general. Maybe you didn't play sports, had to work in high school or whatever, but you're super, super competitive, right? Champions expect to win. My coach always said that. Go into that game in a humble way, put the work in, but come out of there with a victory. So as you're going into those listing presentations, you come out with a victory, especially if it's a competitive situation. I mean that. Don't ever lose a listing, okay? And so my question for you is, what ammunition are you using to win the battle, okay? So right now, technology is super, super critical, but now it's the gold standard. It's what everybody's doing. So if you're not incorporating technology, I think Lance was talking about using all the resources. If you're not doing that, you got to do that ASAP, okay? Because that is super, super critical. Big data advertising, impressive marketing, syndication, seller reports, presentations, etc. You got to do it. That is the gold standard. But what is even more critical is going into that listing presentation with the mindset that you're going to improvise, you're going to adapt, and you're going to overcome. As I mentioned earlier, do your recon work, do your homework. Do never be out-prepared. The 6 Ps. Anybody know the 6 Ps? Prior proper performance prevents piss poor. Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Good job, whoever said that. Okay, those are your 6 Ps. Go in there with that mindset. Prepare to improvise on the spot. We talked about that. Nothing is ever guaranteed. It's just not. Go in there knowing, hey, I'm going to have to improvise a little bit. Okay, adapt. As we mentioned earlier, adapt to the environment. Start to, what I did is I would try to mirror the person I was talking to. People like to do business with people they like, they respect, and they can relate to. I think the gentleman said that right there. That is absolutely true. And then as I mentioned, go Navy. That's the last time I'm going to say that. So if you served in the Navy, I love you as a brother or sister, but that's the last time I'm going to say that. Who's Navy? You're Navy? Go, baby. All right, real quick, I'm gonna close. Overcome, obviously, that's a no-brainer. We're always overcoming obstacles. There is no excuse. I see mothers all the time balancing business and family. I see fathers out there hunting, trying to make sure that they can achieve the goals and objectives they set for their family. So continue to do that. Learn from mistakes and failures. That's a no-brainer. Oops. And then I'm gonna close with this. They talked about that. I'm not gonna overemphasize it, but never cut your commission short unless, there's times where you have to. They might be a hero. We have a heroes program. We do things like that. But for all intents and purposes, you're worth your 6%. You lead with value, value, value. You go in there with the right mindset. You win the listing. And as you mentioned, I think this gentleman here mentioned, they're thanking him. Here's 3%, 6%. Here you go, buddy. 3% to each side, not a problem. So go in there and don't ever compromise on that unless there's certain circumstances. Teamwork, I mentioned that. So I'm going to leave you with this. What is your mindset? Okay? That's the question. What is your mindset? Where do you get motivated? What motivates you on a daily basis? Mrs. Tucci talked about running. She talked about things like that. Use it to fuel your real estate business. Is your listing presentation tailored to meet the needs of the seller? And the company you work for and obviously the team behind you are extremely important to your success. So I thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Ruben Hernandez, everybody, Ruben. Okay, so thank you, Ruben. Excellent, man. Thank you very much. Okay, so next up, our last presenters. This is David and Sandy Stites. They're a little different because they have a team, and maybe they can tell you how many people they have, but in their crew, I ran your guys' numbers, you don't even know this. In the last 12 months, they've done $930,000, which is really, really impressive. They've been in the business like 4 years. So, David and Sandy, it's all yours.
Thank you, Chuck.
Hold on.
Oh, guess.
I need to talk first because if I give the mic to David, I probably won't be able to talk for the rest of the seminar. But
okay, perfect. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that our listing presentation style is a lot similar to probably yours, a lot of your style and all those rock stars style. We relate to people when we walk in. We take a look at the surroundings. We talk to the sellers and ask about their family, their goals, and we let them talk. But we know we were coming up today David had a dream to share our whole presentation with you as if you are the seller standing in front of us or sitting in front of us. And who went on a listing appointment last time with like 1,000 sellers? So we did organize our presentation a little more just so, to present. So
Yeah, we don't have a PowerPoint here today, but most of my listing presentation is me just yak, 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 yak. And I think I learned that from the Zings, mostly Mike. But I'm just going to go through kind of the anatomy of my listing appointment. So the first thing that I always make sure that we do is we go through and have the seller give us a tour of the home. There are so many agents out there that as soon as they get there, they sit down and, okay, let me go into my listing presentation. That is the absolute worst thing that you could do. I learned this from Mike Zing. Go through and say, show me why you bought this house. What's important to you? What do you want me to market for you to make sure this home sells for as much money as possible? So after we get done, we do the tour. We'll sit down at the table. Do not sit on a couch, anything comfy where you're gonna relax in. I like to stand, or at a kitchen table is great too, so you could sit upright. But I'm basically gonna go into my listing presentation. So I'll go in and say, Mr. Seller, there's basically 3 things that sets us apart from other realtors in our area. Number 1 being Coldwell Banker. We belong to the biggest real estate brand in the world with the best name recognition out there. Everybody knows Coldwell Banker, and that is huge. Second thing that sets us apart is we are a team. So I run my business like a business. I don't run my business like a realtor. A realtor has to go around and do everything themselves. That is not us. On our team, everyone has a set defined role. They have their one job and they focus on doing that job extremely well. My role on the team, I'm the listing agent. I focus on you and only you, 24 hours a day. My only job is to get your home sold. That's it. My wife, Sandy, on our team, she's our marketing director.
I told him if he say I was a marketing coordinator, I was going to slap him on stage.
Director is the right word to say. And she's also our closing manager. So once we get your property into escrow, she is gonna oversee the escrow process to make sure everything is done on time so that we have as smooth of an escrow process as possible. We also have buyer's agents on our team. Currently, we have 7 buyer's agents. Their only job is to find a buyer for your home. So we have a few great systems that work along with that. We use callaction.co. So what that is, it's a phone number company. When someone calls in off our sign, off our flyer, off Craigslist, off Zillow, whatever it may be, a buyer is calling in on your property, all of their phones are gonna all ring at the same time.
And it's not a fake phone call app.
No, it's not a fake phone call app, Chuck. So all their phones are gonna ring at the same time. First one to answer it gets it. No lead will ever slip through the cracks with us. I can be here having a presentation with you, buyers are calling in on your home, we're not gonna miss that. The team aspect is really what is taking us to the next level. Our buyer's agents also do all of the open houses for the property. They're working extremely well. We recommend doing one at least once a week. Rounding it out, we also have an administrative assistant on our team. She's gonna handle all of our paperwork from start to finish to make sure we're in 100% compliance with the Department of Real Estate.
And I feel like I need to stand up now too.
Yes.
I do have my notes. And the third thing that sets us apart is our marketing. Starting out with the professional photography, we do hire one of the best photographers in the business because 95% of the time, home searches start online. So we do want to make sure we put out the best product available. After having top-notch photos, we do pay Zillow, so.
Haters are gonna hate.
Sorry, we do pay them a lot of pennies. We pay for your house to be featured on 3 of the largest real estate websites, Zillow, Trulia, and Realtor.com. You have to show up on page 1 of those searches when buyers enter in the city, Paula or Menifee or Venture Cucamonga. Your house will show up on the first page when you list with us. At the same time, we also do a Zillow, is it like a tour video?
Yeah, Zillow walkthrough video.
Zillow walkthrough video. You can do it on your phone. Download the app from Zillow. That will boost up your home's ranking when people enter the search. So we will make sure that your listing or your home will get the maximum exposure it deserves. Social media, I don't know if you attend the last few years of the mayor, but social media is my thing. I really like it. Social media is a big part of our marketing campaign. We use the amazing Coldwell Banker CBX to identify the right buyers to market your home to, the right audience, so all the buyers can see your house. Last but not least, not only will we put your home on the MLS, we also put it on 107 different real estate websites.
I made up that number.
Every year is a different number, and this
It
year
keeps going up.
Yeah, it's 107, and David's like, and I was asking David, why 107? He's like,
It just sounds good.
It sounds good. So it's 107, so use that. Because we want to throw as wide of a net as possible. Because real estate is really simple. The more people see your listing, your home online, the more offers you'll get. And the more offers you'll get, you'll make more money.
And really, that's our goal. So we're not looking for a cheap, easy sale. We want to sell your home for as much money as possible. We were blessed last year to close 95 homes. This year, we're on track to do 150. I want what you want, and that's to sell this thing for absolute top dollar. Now, with that being said, because we do all of the things, our commission is 3%. The average for the buyer's agent in this area is also 3%. So 6% will get the job done. If you want as many people to see this home as possible, I would even urge you to go to 3.5% on the buyer's side so that we get as many people through the door as possible. I knew you'd like that. Yeah. So then after that, I like to get commission out of the way. If I bring up commission first, it's much easier. If they bring up commission, I'll tell them, hold on, I'm going to get to that. But if they bring it up, all of a sudden you're on the defensive. So make sure that in your presentation that you're bringing up your commission. Unless you just don't want to, like Hanson. He's just like, sign here, sign here, sign here, which I love. I love it. I think they are for a couple more months. I'm going to let them be on top for a couple more months. That's all right. After that, we'd go into, I always ask the question, now what would you like to sell your home for? I don't say, what do you think your home's worth? I don't go into that. Just, what's your home worth? If they give me a number that's low, I tell them, hey, great news, I think we could sell it for this. If they give us a number that's high, that's where I might tweak it a little bit. So for me, a sign in the yard is better than a sign in the car. So if they're maybe $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 high, obviously I'll try to get them down a little bit, but I want that listing. I'm greedy when it comes to listings because listings for us is what fuels our buyer's agents. The more listings I have, the more buyer leads that are gonna come through for them. So I will adjust from there and just make sure that you're asking, what do you think your home's worth? Because if you come in and tell them $400,000 and they're thinking $500,000, that's gonna be an unpleasant conversation. So just make sure you get that out of the way first. And then I guess once you overcome price, basically it's real easy. You start nodding your head. Now you say, now Chris, do you have any other questions before we sign the contract today? That's it. I mean, just make sure you're always asking for the sale. And shake your head back and forth. No, like, no, you don't have. Do you have any other questions before we sign the contract today? Okay, great. Perfect. So that's it. Thanks, guys.
He's only asking for the sale after he provided all the value.
Yeah.
First of all, I've got to ask, who raised that guy? Hey, I want to help everybody here. Chuck asked us to talk about listing presentation. I'm going to save you guys a lot of money. I've been with almost every major real estate franchise in Southern California twice. Some I've owned, some I've worked for. Truth, Remax, Tarbell, Century 21, and a bunch of others. Now, Robin said, quit telling people that. They're going to think you're a flake and move around a lot. That's not true. The good ones, 9 years, 8 years, 6 years this time back with you. I've been with Caldwell 3 times. You guys are actually with the best. We've been with, we own Century 21, we're here. And the other thing, the biggest thing that screwed up my life was I got a broker's license. Try not to do that. Ownership, any owner will tell you, we make about twice as much, all of these guys, as any owner in the business net to us. Think about it, net to you, whether it's commission or ownership. I'm telling you, I was raised in a family-owned business and thought that's what you were supposed to do. And I was dumb enough to believe it. Don't get your broker's license. Stay with Caldwell. Keep the money for you.
Cool, thanks, Mike.